Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and as you all may know, I am pretty obsessed, I think we all are, with this Staycation dress because of its tiers and just how cute it looks, and it is so trendy right now. What we're going to do today is we're going to use this Staycation pattern and create a skirt. I'm just going to show you just how easy it is to create the skirt and how you create it in a woven or a knit. So let's get started. Alright friends, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Staycation dress pattern and I'm going to cut out the tier skirt. I'm not going to cut out the bodice or the sleeves or neckline or anything like that, just the tiered bottom. And you have to decide for yourself how long you want it, how many tiers you want, if you want the maxi, you want the knee length, whatever you want. I went with the maxi cut line because I wanted to be longer, but I only did the first and second tier. So I'm hoping that I'll be somewhere around a midi length. That's the look I'm going for. But if you want the maxi, then you'll add the 3 ones at the bottom. Then what we're going to do is we will construct the skirt piece just as we would construct it on the pattern. But since we don't have a bodice to attach it to, we're going to create our own waistband. And this is where the difference will be between woven and knit. I am going to be using a woven for my actual skirt, and you can use that because it is a gathered skirt, so you know it has that gathering effect, so you can use either of those. But I would always for a tiered like skirt mention that you should use a very lightweight woven fabric if you're using a woven fabric. Even if you're using a knit fabric, you want to use something lightweight that's going to move along and give you that very easy casual look that the tiers give you. If you use a more stable knit or woven, it's going to be more of a stiff look, which if that's what you're going for, then go ahead, but that's not the look I'm going for today. Now, for the waistband, you have the two options. You can do the knit waistband, which will be just a stretchy band, like a yoga style stretchy band, or you could do a woven band. I am going to be doing the easy route, which is the knit band, but I'm here to tell you that you can use a woven band. And what I would do if I was going to use a woven band, I would most likely use the band either from the Feel Pretty pants, that is a woven pattern, or the band from the paper bag pants, which would also give it a really cute paper bag look at the top of your skirt if that's something that you were going for. You would use the band at your size, and then when you put the skirt together, you would put it the width of your band, and then once the band gathers with that elastic, it will bring your skirt in. So I would just attach it the same way that you would attach your paper bag pants or paper bag skirt to your paper bag waistband and or your Feel Pretty pants to your elasticated woven waistband. So you can do it that way. I'm going to actually be using the knit waistband out of the Trendsetter skirt. I have that pattern. If you don't have that pattern, you can use the knit waistband from the Urban leggings. You can use it from the Trendsetter skirt. You can use any kind of knit waistband that you have, even if it's another pattern that might not even be an Ellie and Mac pattern. Or you can just create your own by measuring your waist and then going down 2 to 3 inches depending on how comfortable you are with the tightness of the waistband. So you measure your waist wherever you want your skirt to hit, because obviously if you wanted to hit higher, you go a little bit smaller. If you wanted to hit lower, you might go a little bit wider. So you would measure that, subtract, and then you would do your waistband. You could either make one long waistband or you can make a front and a back and sew them at the side. And then I would probably do about 5 inches so that the waistband ends up being 2.5 inches. I hope that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab and cut my waistband out, and then we'll put our skirt together and I'll show you just how cute it turns out. All right, I said I was gonna use the Trendsetter skirt, but I found, as I was looking through my patterns to find the Trendsetter skirt, I found the Be Smart jumper, and that also has a knit waistband. So I'm gonna use that one because that one's the one that was up front in my patterns. I just used it not that long ago. So like I'm saying, you can use any pattern that you have that has a knit waistband for this, which makes it so easy because I know we do have quite a few that have a knit waistband. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that waistband. I wanted to use a double brush poly for the waistband. I love using double brush poly for the waistband or something that has a little bit more sturdiness, but I guess I'm all out of black double brush poly. That is weird, isn't it? So instead I'm using cotton lycra, which also has great stretch and great recovery. So I'm gonna go grab my skirt, the top part of my skirt, and I'm going to match those two pieces, the front and the back, right sides together. Trying to figure out how they go this way. And I'm going to sew those sides together. You obviously can add pockets to this pattern. This pattern has an option for pockets. So if you want to do pockets, you're more than welcome to do pockets. If you want to look at the instructions on how to do that on your pattern, you can do that, because honestly, all we're doing differently from the pattern is adding a waistband instead, putting the waistband together instead of adding the top. That's how easy this is, this hack. It's almost not even fair to call it a hack because it's just super, super easy. So once I put those sides together, I'm gonna do the same for my waistband. I'm gonna grab it, I'm gonna fold it right sides together, and grab those short raw edges and sew them together. Now for the knit waistband, I'm going to have to use a stretch stitch on my sewing machine or my serger, because it's going to stretch on me. But for the skirt, since I'm using a woven, I'm gonna use my sewing machine just on a regular straight stitch. I'm also gonna grab the other layer right now while I'm at it, and I'm gonna sew them together as well at the sides. And there are actually a couple of other things that you can do while you're over at your sewing machine. Once you're there, once those sides are sewn, we're gonna grab the top of our skirt and we're going to put in a gathering stitch. Whatever your favorite type of gathering stitch might be. When it's a woven like this, like a light woven, I just like to put in a long basting stitch, just a long straight stitch, about a 4 or 5, and put it all the way around the top. And sometimes I'll do 2 of those. That way I can very easily move them around. I sew them in about a 1/4 inch away from the edge, and then another 1/4 inch away from that one for the second row stitches. And then we'll do the same for that bottom tier. The top of the bottom tier, go ahead and put it in that gathering stitch. And then you can go ahead also, and if you want to, hem the bottom of that tier, the bottom of the bottom tier. You can do that now as well if you want to, or you can wait till you piece it all together and do it then. So let's go ahead and sew these together and put in that basting or gathering stitch on the skirt pieces, and then we're gonna sew them on. There's really a few ways of gathering. We have a couple of videos on that on our YouTube channel, on how, on our sewing tips and tricks playlist, on how to gather. You could do it with elastic. When I'm using a knit fabric, I love doing it with elastic because it also gives the stability and it helps it stay, and it actually creates, I don't think you can see it on this one, but it creates really, really good even gathers, so I love that. But with a light woven, I just like to do that basting stitch. I feel like it's super easy and quick, but there's, like I said, a ton of other tips on there, so if you want to go check that out, go check that video out. All right, so now that my waistband is put together, we're gonna fold it wrong sides together. And here is my waistband. I like to sometimes trim some of these pieces of thread that are left over. And then I'm also going to go ahead and mark my quarters on this waistband so I know exactly where I'm going to be attaching my skirt to. And we're literally just gonna treat this as we would our bodice when we're sewing this together, from the back to the front. because that's basically what we're doing now. We're just gonna attach our skirt pieces to it and create that tier, those tiers, and then match the front and the back and go to the sides. It's very simple hack, and I am super excited about it. Also, like I said, you could use the waistband from the other patterns that feel pretty or the paper bag pants to create it with a woven waistband to use the same fabric if you wanted to use the same fabric as your skirt. So I've got my skirt here and I've got my pins right here where my halves are. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my bobbin thread, and I am going to gather the width of my band. So I'm just pulling that. I like to pull from one side and go one way and gather it the width on this way, like the width of one side. See, now it's gathered that width, and then I'll come back and organize those gathers, like straighten them out so they are even. And then I like to go ahead and grab the one that's going the other way and then gather the other half. Find it that it makes it a little bit easier to even out when I do it that way. Now, like I said, when I'm doing wovens, I like to do this gathering method because it's quick and simple. But sometimes when I'm working with knits, well, most of the time when I'm working with knits, I like to use the clear elastic gathering method because I feel like it gives it that extra niceness that it needs. I don't know, I think it's so much better. I like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and now even out these gathers to be even all the way around. Once they're even and it's the size that you want it, I like to go ahead and tie those two ends of the threads right here, the beginning and the end, because I don't want my gathers to come undone. And I find that this makes it a little bit helpful for that not to happen. All right, so now that this is done, we're gonna grab our band and we're gonna put it right over it, matching those raw edges, right sides together. And then we're gonna go ahead and sew that first tier on to our waistband. I'm going to be using my serger for this part because this is gonna be a stretchy part. But if you're not using, I mean, you can use your other stitching, a stretch stitch, because like I said, this knit band is going to stretch. So you want it to have like that give when you're stretching the knit band. If you're doing the woven band, then you know you don't have to, because that's going to, the band doesn't actually stretch, is the elastic. The band already is, the knit band is smaller, and then that woven band will be bigger, so it can go through over your hips and everything, but it'll have elastic that brings it together. So that's the difference. The fabric won't actually stretch, is the elastic that stretches on the woven band, but on the knit band, the actual band is what's stretching. So that's why you need to put a stretch stitch when you use a knit band, because the actual fabric is what's gonna stretch when you pull it over your hips. I hope that makes sense, and why we use a stretch stitch when you use the knit band, but not when you use a woven band, because it's like, that makes no sense. But it really does if you really think about it. I'm gonna go ahead and even out these gathers really well between the quarters, and I'm going to pin and go over there and sew them on. Now you could go ahead and do the same for the bottom layer now and sew it at the same time. That way you kind of get two two birds with the same stone, I guess it's the saying. But I'm just gonna go ahead and take it one at a time. All right, first layer is done, and you basically just created a cute little skirt that you could really just leave like this and hem, and it would be super adorable. But we're going for that tiered look. So you can go ahead and remove that basting stitch now, or do it all at the end. That's why it looks kind of funky there at the top, because of that stitch. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the bottom of this skirt, and Actually, I forgot that you're also gathering the bottom of the skirt. So we're gonna grab it, we're gonna find the halves, and then I'm gonna go over there and just do the same exact thing I did for the other ones and put in that basting stitch to gather. So I don't know why I gathered. Oh yeah, I did. Never mind. We're not gathering this one. What am I talking about? Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. We already did gather. So what we're going to do is, now that we marked the halves on this top skirt, we're gonna grab our bottom skirt. Sorry, sometimes I have to like think things through before I do it. Good thing I was thinking and I just didn't go for it. Then I would have wasted some valuable time gathering when I didn't need to. So here is our bottom layer, and what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with our top layer and our waistband. We're going to grab our bottom layer and we're going to gather it the width of our top layer. Hold on, I'm putting it right side out because I want to, when I attach them, I want to attach it right sides together. So I want this to be right side out. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to gather just like I did on the other one, but this time just the width of this first panel. And then if you're going to do, like I said, if you're going to do the 3 layers, then you would do the same step again for the 3rd layer. Tier, I mean, for the 3rd tier. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go ahead and attach them matching those quarter points. Now for this part, since they're both woven and it's not, neither is going to stretch, then you could go use your sewing machine for sewing these two together. I'm going to go ahead and still use my serger because I like how it finishes that raw edge of my skirt at the same time as it sews it. But some like to do, and I've never had an issue with the serger coming unraveled. But if you want to just go ahead, and what I would do with, to be more careful with a woven, would be to use a straight stitch on your sewing machine and then go in afterwards and finish those raw edges. And you can finish the raw edges of your inside, your side seams as well, if you want to do that as well. So once we sew this right here, all we've got left to do is to do our hemming and we'll be done. This was such a quick and cute project. For hemming, since I'm using a woven fabric, you could do 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch up, and then 1/4 inch up again, fold, fold. Or you could serge that bottom or finish off that raw edge at the bottom and then go ahead and sew the hem a 1/4 inch after that. For this skirt, I'm going with the 1/4 inch fold method because I find it that I like that better, that look better for when I'm doing woven fabrics. Now, keep in mind that I'm making this fabric for myself, and this is why my finishing touches, as in like sewing that raw edge together, are not as nice as it would be if I was doing it for somebody else. So if you're sewing for somebody else, well, even for yourself, you might want to finish that raw edge if you used a woven fabric before you move on to the next step. Because then it'd be easier for it not to come unraveled. Like I said, I haven't had issues with it, but if you have had issues with it and you just want to be cautious, keep that in mind. I do most of my sewing tutorials, we just go pretty easy and chill. I'm just a chill sewist, and I do take it easy when I'm sewing, and I don't worry about the little details. But that is something that is important to mention, if that is something that is important to you, the little details and making sure that everything's just going to look just right. So I'm going to go all the way around and fold, and then hem, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. we are finished with this cute skirt. I love how it turned out. I love all the different options. Like I said, if you use a knit band, or you can use a woven band, or whatever, you can use all kinds of different materials. Look how cute this one turned out. I love it. I think it looks adorable, but I think it would also look adorable maxi length, and it would be cute too if you made it knee length. The only thing that I did different, like I mentioned earlier, is I used the maxi top layer and then just one bottom layer. But if you wanted it to be knee length, you could use the knee length one, which would be cut right here, and then it will be another layer like right there. So that would be a different look altogether as well. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Come follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where people are sharing their makes, and you can share your makes so you can inspire us with what you're making. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.